I know, you're all like, oh my God, twice in one weekend. Yeah, no one cares. I want to talk about poverty, but there's no one here, so we're gonna wait a minute. Lunar Wisdom's like, God, get to the point. I will, I promise. Just hang on. Oh, look, we have one person. One whole person who climbed on board. I bet you're from TikTok. Hi, TikTok. How are you? I love my TikTok people. I have way more followers on TikTok than I do on YouTube. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You upload, okay, on TikTok, all you have to do to become famous as a witch is upload a video of 2 candles where the flames touch. Okay, I'm telling you, I've done this twice, right? You can find both of the videos on my TikTok, like, right? And that's all you need to do. And then just wait. Just wait. That's it. That's it. I mean, obviously tag it with the appropriate witchy tags, right? But that's all you need to do. Hello, my 2 people. There's 2 people here and there's nobody chatting. I'll start chat. Watch. Hello, chat. There we go. See? Hi. How are you? Anyways, should probably get to the topic at hand, but I'm lazy and it's Sunday and I have to go to work tomorrow and I don't want to go to work tomorrow. You know where my work is? It's right here. Right here. But I'm lazy and I'm just, I don't know, I'm having a moment where I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to care about anything. So I'm going to do that. And I'm making a pot roast today. I'm going to make gravy the old-fashioned way, right? Like how people used to make gravy in the old days. None of this goddamn packet shit. Now, what is the topic at hand? Being a poor witch. Hello, Country Owl. Finally, we have somebody in chat. We need people in chat, right? Yesterday was a clusterfuck. So I go live and there's like 5 or 6 people watching and there's no one in chat. And I'm like, really? Really, people? I haven't been on it. You need to be on more. That's all I have to say to that. So, going back to our topic at hand, right? Pregnant. I'm very, very pregnant. You're like, should you be vaping if you're Yes. Yes, I should. I don't suggest that you do it, but I should. Okay, that's like the mass amounts of wine that I drink while I'm very pregnant, and the marijuana that I intake while I'm very pregnant, and I'm just right, and none of what I'm doing is healthy. Hello, Queen Elsa. Hello, Solitary Luna. How are you? This is not a Preacher Man Sunday, okay? We're going to talk about being poor, okay, and being a witch, because some of us, hi, how are you, are very fucking poor. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much money you make, okay? If you are in a situation where you've got lots of debt and you're trying to get out of that situation, you could win the lottery tomorrow and it might help. In my case, it wouldn't help. No, it would help. If I won the lottery tomorrow, it would help me get out of this debt. But it's like the debt that I have is like car debt and like credit card debt that I'm paying off, right? So I'm trying to be a responsible human being. And to do this, we have to put large amounts of money towards these things in order to pay them off. And when you put large amounts of money towards things, right, and you make sure all of your base bills are covered and you've got your food and you've got your pets, they have food, and your children, they have food, right? At the end of the day, you're looking at what's left over and you're like, I'm very, very poor. Right? So I make enough money to be above the actual poverty line, right? But the amount of debt that I'm paying off puts me in a situation where I feel like I'm very below the poverty line, okay? Like I'm 50 billion years old and I'm just, anyways. So how do you be poor and be a witch? You don't. I'm joking. Calm down. I understand. The internet's ragey. The internet is a ragey place. Okay, so how do you be poor and be a witch? Well, you should know what a grocery store is. But I'm too poor to go to a grocery store, you say to me. Then you have other issues that you need to figure out before you become a witch, okay? This is like the level of poverty I'm talking about is like you don't have the money, the disposable income to go and buy, I don't know, candles, right? Like fancy candles, right? You don't have the money to go and buy boxes of incense, right? You don't have the money to go and buy an iron cauldron, right? Like that's the level of poverty I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the level of poverty where, you're about to be evicted, you have no job, you have no food, you're like sleeping on the ground, covering yourself in newspaper. Like, I'm not talking that level of poverty, okay? If you're that level of poverty, then you have other issues that you need to figure out, such as a housing situation, as opposed to how do I be a witch and be laying here on the ground covered in newspapers and about to be evicted out of my very, very cold, freezing apartment. Who agrees with me? Y'all agree with me. I know you do. Okay. So I am we're going to go off topic for a second because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Okay. And I love you, but I want to go off topic. So we're going to do that because I don't have anybody else here with me to keep me on topic. So I've been editing videos this is April's content. I know it's far away, but I record videos when I want to record videos. And sometimes I have a backlog of videos, like months of backlogs of videos, and I just upload them and schedule them, right? So anyways, I've been working on this like April's content and like exporting it. And my computer has been having a hissy fit where it's all like, oh yeah, I'm exporting, but the screen's going to go black and you have to restart me in order for me to give you any kind of response. And I'm like, that's not normal at all. So I've been sitting here for 2 days trying to export 8 of the 16 videos because I've only edited like 8 of them, right? So that's been a clusterfuck. And then there was another part that I wanted to go off on topic on, but I can't remember what it was. So we're going to go back to being poor and being a witch. Oh, look, people are chatting in the chat. What are you saying? Most things are free if you do your research and then glean incense ingredients while on nature walks. What the hell are people going to burn these incense on? Okay, do you know how much coals are? Like the little coals that we use? They're expensive, okay? I pick my own herbs all summer and fall to have for the year, and I make my own candles. Country Owl, I do the same. Okay, so we're talking like you're poor that you can't afford to go to Michael's and buy the paraffin wax, right? Like we're that level of poor. And when I went to a farmer's market here in Canada to get beeswax, which I think it was it beeswax? It was like the solid beeswax that they use in candle making, right? When I went to go get that stuff, oh my God, that shit's expensive too. We're talking like $50 for a pound, right? And a pound will make you a few candles. Now, how do you make candles if you ain't got the money to make candles? Easy peasy. So all you need from Michael's is some wicks, some candle wicks, and then from the grocery store, some olive oil or coconut oil or some cheap ass oil essentially, right? Then you can put the wick in the center of like a glass container or whatever, put some oil in, not all the way to the top, and then light the wick, and as it burns down, the oil will get absorbed into the wick, and there's like a candle that you can use, like an oil, what are they called? Oil lamps, I believe they were, like, I don't know. I've done a few on my channel. They're like really old videos, so you need to go backwards and watch those, okay? Like you need to do that. Now, you're poor and you need to have incense. Well, unfortunately, if you can't afford coals, then you're going to have to buy the dollar store incense. I mean, they work just as well. And it's not really the scent that matters. Obviously, you'll want something that smells good, but you're dealing with dollar store incense here, for God's sakes. And those type of incense are good enough to use if you don't have a coal and if you don't have a coal. If you have a coal and you have all the herbs that maybe you've grown or you've picked or you've got from the grocery store, then that works. But like if you don't have a coal, how the hell are you gonna burn incense mixture if you ain't got no damn coal? Now, mirth and reverence did a video. You're gonna have to look it up because I'm too lazy. But she did a video a long time ago because she's like old, and she did this video on how to do incense on a budget. And she shows a way of how to make Kona incense that are like self-igniting and they burn and all that other stuff. So you'll have to look that up because that's an interesting way. But remember, if you're laying on the floor of your apartment covered in newspapers with an eviction notice on the door and there's no heat in the place and no food in the fridge, girl, you've got other issues other than how to make incense with the dust in the corner of your soon-to-be evicted bedroom. Now, I burn them on kindling if I don't have charcoals. Back to basics. Some people may not have fire safety containers. Like, we're talking poor here, okay? Talking very poor. Go to the Dollar Tree and buy the short dollar pillars. I can melt it down and make 3 from it. That's another thing that you can do. So at dollar stores, you'll find these like glass pillars, right? And they're crappy. They're crappily made candles, right? Like they're garbage jar candles. I melted one down, right? So they're like all the way up full. When I melted it down, the amount of liquid that was in there only took up half of the glass. And I was like, where did the rest of it go? Like, how badly made are these that the actual liquid of the wax only takes up half of the container, whereas somehow the actual candle filled up most of the, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But you could make candles from those. Dollar store, like I was going to say, dollar stores have candles. Dollar stores have incense, right? Like, right? You know, we're poor. We're poor enough that we can't afford charcoals, and we're poor enough that we may not have a fire safe dish to burn incense in. So like, how do we be, right? Like, or we're poor and we live in a situation where we can't have incense, right? So you don't need incense at that point. All you need is your little spritzers or sprays that you can make. Now, I personally, I don't know if they would work. I mean, they would have to work because you're infusing water, in this case, with the herbs and spraying it around the room, which would have the same intentions and effects as burning incense and moving it around the room. I don't know. It feels weird to me, but that is a way to have incense, if you will, without actually having incense, if you will. Right? So how do you set up an altar? Like, what can your altar have on it when you're this poor, right? Like, we're poor. We're super poor. You hear me talk about being poor a lot because I'm very poor and we can't afford to do the witchy halls. We can't afford to have fancy candles. We can't afford to do anything. We can't even afford to go and buy the herbs that we need half the time. So what the hell do we do? Well, we already said the grocery store because we got enough money to be buying food. So clearly we can buy some herbs and from the grocery store. And we can go to the dollar store to buy incense. Okay, because in our situation, mine, I can burn incense. So buy some incense there, and I've got some stockpiled herbs that I can make some other incense with, but I'm soon to be running out of coals. So it's back to the stick incense. Okay. And then for candles, you can get those at the dollar store too. You can get all kinds of candles at the dollar store. Easy fire safe dish is a clay dish pot you put under a potted plant, cost under $1. Yes, true, but also be careful because they don't hold heat the way that you would think they do. Some of these dollar planter clay things, I've used them in the past as a way to hold a coal when I didn't have, and it cracked. The heat ended up cracking the clay dish. So careful, people. Fire safety, right? So what else is there? So the main things that witches care about is candles and incense. Okay. That's really seems, and there's so much more to witchcraft than candles and incense, right? So if you can't afford candles and incense, or you're not allowed to have candles and incense because maybe you're not poor, maybe you're just stupidly young and you're parents are like, no, with the candles, little Bobby, and no, with the incense, little Sally. Like, you'll burn the whole house down, right? So maybe they're not going to allow you to have those. So what else is there in witchcraft? Because a lot of witches, a lot of us, right? We tend to think of a craft, like as we tend to think of witchcraft as this thing where we need to have candles and incense. Like it's pop culture that's doing it to us, right? But you don't need candles and incense. You don't need any of that crap. You can manifest things. You can still make the jars, the honey jars, the oil jars, or the sour jars, or whatever the hell they're called. And you can still bless those and put intentions into them. You can still follow along with a spell that you see on YouTube that uses a candle, but do it differently, right? So like if I'm doing a honey jar spell and I'm burning a candle on top to bless it and to use, I don't know, Citrus or Belith's intentions and put those intentions in, right, to bless the honey jar spell, then you would just sit there for a little longer and put a little more intentions in, right? You would just enjoy the atmosphere that you've created by putting more intentions in. The biggest component to the craft is intentions and energy. This is true, but a lot of people put this, I don't know, they put candles and incense and herbs on a pedestal because they see witches in pop culture, or they see witches on YouTube with, right, like the jars of herbs behind me that you see. Where the fuck is it? Where am I pointing? Over there? Fingers point. There we go. Yeah. So like, right? So like lots of witches see that and they're like, oh, I want herbs or I want this, right? And I've talked about this in the past where witches will go broke spending all of their money on all of these fancy things. And I mean, if that's what you want to do, I can't stop you. You're not my child, motherfucker. But if you were my child, motherfucker, and you were going broke because you would spend all your damn money on this witchy stuff, ooh, I will beat you something senseless. Anywho. Right, and it's there's no shame in doing hauls. There's no shame in any of that. I don't give a fuck what you do with your money and your life and your channel and all of that. Just stay the fuck off mine and stay the fuck out of my way, okay? Like, I don't have time for your bullshit. Let's put it that way. So, what was I saying now? So there's nothing wrong with the buying and the purchasing. It's just, I feel like there's never really a conversation around how to be poor and be a witch, because there's a lot of us out there who don't have money and we don't have fancy dancy stuff, and we work with what we have or what we've previously purchased or whatever the case may be, right? There have been times where intention and energy was all I need and spells still work. That should be all anybody needs. What the fuck is going on? Motherfucker. My cats. It's all my fucking cats. Anyways. Fucking cats. That's all magic is. That's all you need. You don't, I need to say this enough times so that you people, you know, like it sinks into your brain cells, right? Like it sinks into your fucking brain stem. You don't need anything to do witchcraft. You don't need the herbs. You don't need the athame. You don't need the cauldron. You don't need the pentacle. You don't need the fancy inks. You don't need the fancy leather-bound Book of Shadows. You don't need anything. And there isn't a person alive who can refute that, because you don't need anything. Like, how do you think Christianity works? Like, no one needs anything to believe in God. You don't see these people, you see some people do this, but the vast majority of Christians out there, you don't see them running to the Christian shop and buying all the fancy angels and the fancy crosses and like, what? You don't see them setting up like their Christian or Catholic altars or anything like that in their houses. I mean, the crazies, like the absolute obsessed crazies probably do. But the normal Christians who go to church every day, they don't need anything to be a Christian. All they need is their faith and their belief. And that's all you need in witchcraft, is your faith and your belief. Your belief is your intentions, and your faith is your intentions, and you're feeding that by putting your own personal energy into it. So you don't need anything. You don't need anything, okay? Probably roof over your head, food on the table, and maybe some of your bills paid. But that's about it, right? Herbs, wands, candles, etc. are simply tools, but not necessary to do the craft. Exactly. Motherfuckers, exactly. I really wish that you could understand this, people. I do. I don't know how to make it sink into your tiny, tiny fucking brains. Sitting here and just like punching you in the face with the information isn't working. Oh, I know what the other topic is that I wanted to do that was a complete off topic from this one. I figured it out. Anyways, so I have noticed that my live videos now don't get any views. In fact, all of my videos across YouTube just don't get any views. And I'm like, excuse me, what the hell is going on here? I don't appreciate this. Like, yesterday's live chat only got 75 views at the time that I went live with this one, whereas it would normally have like 130 by now. So I'm like, what the hell is going on, people? Excuse me? Can you just zip it and go away? I will pay attention to you later. Anyways, now that we can go back to our original topic of how to be poor and the fact that you don't need anything to be a witch, I don't know where this idea originated that you have to have all these tools. I mean, I can see it because a lot of Wiccan books suggest that you set up an altar this way, or they suggest that you have certain tools to do the same thing. But the more reputable and respectable Wiccan books also tend to say that you can get away with using your index fingers, like an athame or a wand or whatever, or using a butter knife or like whatever, right? So I don't know where a lot of you got this concept that you need these fancy tools and these fancy things to do witchcraft. Like I can't pinpoint down to one witch on YouTube who started it all, because I don't think there is one. I think it comes down maybe in part to pop culture and how they depict witchcraft and witches in movies and TV shows. I don't know, maybe. But aside from that, I mean, maybe it started with the more ritualistic aspects of witchcraft and the swords and the daggers and the... I don't know where it came from. Witchy chat drinking game. Take a shot every... That's like, you people are going to be shit-faced. And you're the only one in chat. There are 6... Now there's only 5 of these fuckers. But there are 5 of these fuckers. So technically 4 of these fuckers who are not in chat... probably shit-faced out of their mind because they're literally drinking every time I vape. Oh, that tastes nasty. I'm gonna have to fix the cotton in there later. Anyways, back to whatever we were talking about. Oh yes, how to be a peasant and be a witch. It's quite simple. It is. I mean, if you have the internet and you're watching this and you consider yourself poor, then you're obviously not that poor because you can at least afford the internet. Unless you're sitting with your iPhone at a McDonald's using their Wi-Fi. Maybe you are that poor. I don't fucking know. What happened? My video is gone. I don't know. My video is not gone. Do I have to go on YouTube and like figure out if YouTube Live just broke? Let's see. Nope. I got video. We Gucci. I see it, says Solitary. Listen, Country Owl, don't you be sending me on damn wild goose chases. Not today, motherfuckers. So if you have some kind of device and you're watching this from some kind of internet, but you're still poor. Oh, finally, more fucking people. What were we talking? We were talking about being poor. So if you have some kind of device and you're watching this and you consider yourself poor, then just realize that you don't need anything. Okay? You don't need anything at all. I mean, I have said that 20 fucking times now, right? So say it with me, people. You don't need anything to practice witchcraft, okay? Now, somebody had asked me yesterday before I ended the stream if I do smoke reading. I thought I would answer that question. So they asked if I have done any kind of smoke reading, and I'm assuming what they're talking about is like when the incense is burning, the smoke is going up. I don't read incense smoke that way. I mean, sometimes when I'm manifesting a spirit or entity through the smoke, then I will kind of, I guess you'd consider it read it at that point. But that's more just watching to see if the spirit manifests in some way or if the incense smoke gives some kind of way. I mostly do fire readings, which is where I will burn a small, tiny amount of a flammable liquid in the bottom of a fireproof cauldron with a petition in there and some herbs and so on and so forth. And from there, I'll watch the flames and see how they dance or come together. And can we focus? Thank you. Christ. Right? So, I don't do any smoke reading. What is happening in chat? Many of my most precious and used items are those I've picked up on a walk in nature. Stones, shells, feathers, etc. I think the older generations of witches understand what I'm talking about, right? Because y'all had to go and forge your shit. Back in the day when you were in your like fucking teens and you were this tiny little precious innocent thing learning witchcraft, right? Like back in the 17th century for some of you. You didn't have these fancy stores, right? And I think that's another reason of how poor witches who don't have the money kind of see witchcraft as this thing that's unattainable to them because they can't access, they don't have the privilege to access the same things that somebody with more money than them has, right? So we have these stores today where we can buy our witchy herbs, we can buy our incense, we can buy our resins, we can buy our tools, we can buy this, we can buy that, right? And we use these stores, but a lot of people can't use them, and I'm trying to figure out ways where they can still practice the craft without utilizing any of these things, and it's quite simple. You don't need them. You don't need anything. Now, if you are a witch who's got some money, right? Like you're not completely poor. You're like me, where you've got some disposable income at the end of all of the bills sucking the life out of your very soul, right? If you have some pennies, then I would suggest going to things like Value Village. And like I've said before, dollar stores, grocery shops, farmers markets if you have them, if you can go to them. I mean, we're in the middle of just all kinds of clustery right now, right? So, don't leave your house if you don't have to. There is New Age imports, but unfortunately it requires you to be able to have $100 plus shipping in order to utilize it. I don't know if they're shipping out of the United States right now, but pre-pandemic they were, so who knows. But anyways, so there is that option if you have the $100+ plus, but I'm assuming that you don't, because You're like me and you're poor and you're pathetic and you're like, how do I practice my craft? You practice it. It's not that fucking difficult. Okay? Stop sitting there bitching and complaining you ain't got no money and you can't practice witchcraft. It's funny to me to see these witches on Facebook groups who are always doing these money spells to buy things they don't need. And the funny thing is that they're then back a week later or a day later even trying to do more money spells to get money to pay their rent. I mean, I'm a money witch, and I've got nothing wrong with money witches. But I have a feeling that if you're a money witch and you're doing money spells all the time, right? Like, let's say you did one and you got some money and you didn't spend it on the things you said you were going to spend it on. So then you have to do another money spell to bring in more money. Like, when does the universe be like, listen, bitch, you ain't doing the shit you say you're gonna do with this money, so I just ain't gonna give you any damn money. Like, when does the universe finally, and it doesn't, it can't. It's not the universe that controls anything. It's you. I see some witches that'll be like, oh, my spell failed. I guess the universe is just telling me that it's not my time. It's not the universe that is, it's you. Or it's your spirits or your entities. It's not the universe. It's the things that you work with, the energies that you manifested. There's something in your universe, okay, that is preventing the spell from manifesting, right? It's funny. It's funny because even sometimes I will think, oh, my spell has failed because the universe is just a cunt today. And it's not the universe. If you think it's the universe, you're on drugs. Horrible, horrible drugs. Did I tell you people I'm making a pot roast? Ooh, I could smell that damn pot roast. Ooh, girl, I smell that damn pot roast. Okay, so I have videos coming out soon. You're like, oh God, Marcy. No, we're not doing a series. Fuck that shit. And I've told you this before, where I've got these videos coming out in February and they're ending in April, and then I have no idea what to do. But yesterday, at the end of yesterday's chat, I started a conversation that I wanted to continue today, which was that I have no more ideas of what to talk about. I kind of ran out. Like, I've been wanting to talk about how to be poor and be a witch for a while, because in these videos that are coming out, there's a running theme of we're poor. We're very poor, right? We're not so poor that we can't afford the roof over our head or the car. And it's just the money coming in is just, it's not enough. It's not enough, unfortunately. I'm underpaid for what it is that I do. One day I'll ask for a raise. But in the meantime, we have to continue bitching and complaining about how we're poor. So, what the hell was I saying? Oh, yes. So I was talking about how I've been on this platform for 4 years, right? Like, I've been here, I've met lots of people, I hate lots of people hate me, right? Like, we're powerful witches, we're independent women, we're strong and resilient, we've had our fun, and I have nothing left to talk about. I mean, I've said everything there is to say on the subject of witchcraft, at least from my own perspective of my craft and how it relates to mine. I've talked about Wicca and the hippy dippies and the crystal lovers. I kind of want to talk about crystals, but I don't have any crystals, and I don't think I have any books on crystals. No, I've got books on crystals. They're Scott Cunningham books, but I haven't read them. I bought them because they're Scott Cunningham, but I haven't read them. Or maybe I have. I don't remember. I've read too many books. So, and my craft isn't evolving drastically in any way where I just want to like spaz out and cry and all that other stuff. And I've also mentioned to you people that I don't like going live alone, because it's like, There's no one else to talk to. Oh, fucking focus. So I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do. I mean, what do you do when you run out of things to talk about? You find new things to talk about. I don't have anything else to talk about. So that's that subject that I wanted to cover. Now, does chat have any questions, comments, concerns, death threats, or other subjects that they would like to talk about? Anything? I'm just going to sit here and vape until somebody says something. Hello? Hello? Anybody there? No? Did all of your videos cut out and die? Perhaps you could revisit older videos, discuss your changing craft from when they were filmed. Oh, Christ, that's a lot of videos. I have gone back through some of my videos and I have looked at them and I'm like, I still hold some of these viewpoints. Some of them I don't anymore because I'm older and I'm wiser or some bullshit. I don't know what the actual phrase is that you're supposed to say. I thought about talking more about herbs and so on and so forth, but when I started looking around for if there were videos on the types of herbs that it's people, it's not that difficult, right? My whole channel was based around people needing to do their own research and just wanting to show my craft and not have to teach anybody anything or explain anything and just be like, look, we're going to do witchcraft and you're just going to know what I'm talking about. And that never happened. Because my channel, it evolved into this like, I hate everything. And I don't hate everything. I just think some things are stupid, right? I think like witchcraft doesn't have any structure or rules or specific ways of doing things. It's just energy. All you're doing is manipulating energy. That's it. That's all. And your entities and your spirits and your apple sauces and your pussy magics, it's all fucking energy. So all you're doing is manipulating energy, yet for some reason, we people, okay, humans, have decided that we need structure in our witchcraft. We need, like, look at the Buckland's book for Wicca, right? Like, that's like some serious structure right there, right? Like, look at ceremonial magic. That's some serious structure right there. And look at other traditions and paths, and there's some very serious structure there, right? And at the end of the day, all it is just energy. All you're doing is manipulating energy. You're reaching out to energy. You're molding energy. You're unblocking energy. You're blocking energy. You're sending energy back. It's all energy, people. So I don't understand this need for structure and rigorous ceremonial-like aspects to any tradition whatsoever, right? I understand it from a cultural and racial perspective, but at the end of the day, when you take out all of the messiness, right, all of the human equation, right, and you boil every single different path down to its most simplistic roots, it's just people manipulating energy to attain the things that they want. That was my biggest issue with Wicca in general, was this proposed structure and these rules around how and what and when and where and why you do things. And I mean, I that's fine if that's your thing. It's just, it bugged me, okay? Topic idea: how witchcraft has changed over time since Wicca began. It's become this mess. Since the beginning of Wicca, we've found this thing called the internet. We created this thing called the internet, right? And a lot of us have found the internet, and we have found these forums and these discussion boards. Like, we're talking back in the day, okay? We're talking like 90s, okay? Like, do you remember the 90s? Were you even around in the 90s? Half you weren't even fucking born in the 90s. But the 90s, when the internet became a thing and there were forums and discussion groups, right? And then social media came around. Social media really changed witchcraft, in my opinion. I don't think anything aside from Gerald Gardner starting Wicca in the 50s up till today has changed witchcraft the way social media has. Because social media has opened the eyes to what is possible, the different paths, the different structures, the different religions, the different practices. It's opened it in a way that's both good and bad. It's exposed flaws in human civilization. I don't know how, it just has. It has helped people to grow and evolve in their own craft, as well as hinder people, because now you get all these people that come out of the woodwork and they're like, oh, it has to be done this way and blah, blah. I mean, you don't get that so much anymore, right? Like, I don't think you get that at all anymore, ever. I haven't seen it really anywhere. But, you know, back then you would get a bunch of this stuff. And I think once we weeded out all the idiots and the morons left and the trolls left and the, you know, the Cindy Lou Who's and the Kitty Cats and all that crap, once they all left, right, what we're boiled down to is people sharing their experiences, opinions based off of their craft, what they've read and how they've seen. So, you know, that's kind of my thoughts on that. An example from traditional old school to this more modern age, new age stuff. Oh, well, there was no really change there. It just went from what we knew to what we have now. Because again, social media is the culprit here, right? Like I said, the internet in general opened up witchcraft as a whole, whatever path you believe in, whether it's hoodoo, voodoo, banana cakes, applesauces, pussy magic, it doesn't matter to me, okay? Right? Like, I don't give a fuck what you practice, but the internet has opened more avenues for you to explore that particular path. And with the internet comes online shops that allow you to access witchy paraphernalia a lot easier than it was in the past, right? So going from more old school traditional magics where you're like picking your own shit and, you know, making your own candles and being the old hag in the middle of the fucking forest, right? You know, to today where you get everything easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and right, like they're selling bottles of pussy magic on Etsy for like $20, right? Like this shit is, it's become more mainstream is what it is. It's become more accepted. It's become more more normal, right? And because a lot of people want to get into witchcraft, they don't want to get into the whole boiled down simplistic concepts of what witchcraft is. No. What they want is they want the right now stuff. They see someone on the internet doing a money spell and they're seeing that they're getting money and they want the same money and they want to do that money spell. So they go out and they get the stuff and they do that money spell, right? Like they don't want to take the time to understand what is the significance of the color of candle. Why is the whole working facing this way? Why are we using these herbs, right? Like today's new age modern bullshit doesn't actually care about the roots of what it's practicing. What it cares about is getting more money. Ching, 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 right? Like that's all it cares about. It wants you to go to the stores and buy its stuff. It wants you to go to the bookstores and buy its books, right? Like it doesn't care. Following on from Solitary's suggestion of witchcraft development over time, a supporting topic of witchcraft, stigma that still survives in modern society. I don't think there is a stigma, in my opinion, that still survives in modern society. I think what it is it's more of a joke. It's a running joke at this point. It's a meme, if you will, right? Like the whole witches sacrificing babies, right? Like it's in every book that you can buy from your bookstore where it says, hey, witchcraft, we don't sacrifice babies. Hey, witchcraft, we got these rules. No, there are no rules in witchcraft. And if you want to sacrifice babies, motherfucker, then go out and sacrifice babies. Just don't, because it's illegal in every country. So, you know. But the rules in witchcraft are the rules that you make for yourself. So for instance, my rule is don't sacrifice babies, but do dance with the devil, right? Whereas some people might be like, I don't sacrifice babies, and I don't dance with the devil, and I don't practice that pussy magic, right? Like it's your own moral code at that point. In terms of stigmas, though, they've more likely become memes. They've become jokes unto themselves. I don't think anyone seriously thinks that witches, you know, dance with the devil or like sacrifice their children unless you're some seriously right-wing, conservative, Republican, Christian zealot, right? Like, unless you're that crazy, 99.9% of the rest of the population doesn't care that you're a witch, right? They might think you're a little funky or a little crazy or whatever, but like, we live in a society, at least in Canada, I don't know about America these days, but we live in a society, or at least I'd like to think so, that we don't judge another person for their spiritual beliefs when it comes to witchcraft. Because I know that can be thrown back at me and be like, oh, yes, we do. We really do, right? Queen, you mean buzzy magic. No, I mean that pussy magic. One major change is that many modern believe that old school witchcraft is obsolete or not as effective as Wicca of doing things. I don't think so. I really don't. I think your bad experience that you had in your shop, you know, might have colored you in that particular aspect of thinking. But in my opinion, I really don't think there's anybody on the internet these days, and there might be because it's the internet, right? It brings out all the crazies. But I don't think there's a sane, rational thinking witch, right, that you could sit down and have a conversation with that would say old school or what you consider more traditional magic is not as effective as Wicca or more modern magic. I think there are some people, obviously, out there who think that, but I think the vast majority of witches do not think that. I mean, I don't. For sure, I don't. And there has been a more resurgence in witchcraft channels, like Keldon's channel. I think he put out another book or something. I don't know. I don't care. But and George's channel, right, where they talk more about traditional, older school practices and so on and so forth. So I think there is still a very thriving community around the more traditional aspects of witchcraft. So I have to disagree. Microwave society wants fast results without doing the research and the work needed. Exactly. And that's been said 1 billion times on this channel, right? Like, I don't need to say that again. But the point is, the thinking and the rationale behind that is that it's true. And that's why I don't like more modern versions of witchcraft, because it's boiled down simplistic bullshit that housewives can use to fucking make their cookies bake faster or some shit, right? Like, it's garbage is what it is. It's absolute garbage, because in my opinion, you're not getting the full understanding of what witchcraft is. You're just getting these very bite-sized tidbits, and it leaves you with this feeling of I can do this, I can be a witch, I can cast these powerful magical spells, and I can grant any wish, and I can do this and I can do that. And I think that's very surface level garbage. Okay, it's surface level garbage being spewed about by capitalist pigs. That's what it is. It's surface level garbage. That's all it is. You're practicing surface level garbage. And I think once you realize that you're practicing surface level garbage, I mean, you practice what you want. Okay, you do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I feel like what sells, right? Like, you know how like we like to say sex sells? Of course sex sells. Sex sells everything. But surface level garbage when it comes to the occult is what is selling right now. I mean, look at go on YouTube and search up witchcraft. You get all of these 10 signs you're a witch, and 10 herbs to use, and 10 candles, and 10 moon phases, and 10 this, and 5 that, and 20 this, and it's like, shut the fuck up. You're surface level garbage. You ain't got no goddamn substance, right? So that's all this modern new age bullshit is this bullshit. That's what it is. Bullshit. It's complete bullshit, right? So, I mean, if you want to be a part of that, you do you. But I think when people start to actually question and wonder and dig a little deeper is when they actually experience what witchcraft is all about, which is just manipulating energy and using your own energies or the energies of the earth or the energies of whatever to manifest the things that you want. I mean, they dress up this very simple yet hard to grasp concept with these flowery words of bullshit and then sell it for like $29.99 on Amazon. I've had people other than the shop lady tell me that I play at being a witch, but I do it wrong because I don't follow Wicca methods. My answer, try me. See, a witch who's confident in their craft, which I definitely know that Solitary is, doesn't have to worry about what another witch is saying about their practice. I don't give a fuck if Tequila came on YouTube and was like, oh, the witchy show does everything wrong and in my way is the only way. She would never do that, okay? Because she's not that dumb. But, you know, let's just pretend, right, that went down, right? My confidence in my craft would be enough for me to know that, no, I'm not doing this wrong. I'm following my spirits. I'm listening to my guides. Now, again, she would never say that, right? Because people aren't that fucking dumb. But some people, like Solitary pointed out, are that dumb to tell you that this is wrong or this is fake or you're not. And fuck those people. Okay, you don't need those people. You don't have fucking time for those people. You just smile and you nod and you buy your shit at their shop or whatever, and you just go on doing your own damn thing. Like, you don't need to worry about what some dumb bitch on the internet or in the shop or down the street or wherever is saying about you, because it doesn't affect you, right? It does not affect you. And you also know that those are the same bitches that couldn't fucking throw shit your way even if they tried. Right? There is no right or wrong way to practice the craft. I have my opinions and my beliefs on certain aspects, okay? But there is no right or wrong way to practice the craft. And I will never, ever tell you that there is, okay? Because there isn't. And no witch can tell you that there is or isn't a right way to practice, right? Now, if you are following a cultural tradition like Hoodoo or Santeria or whatever, they may have their certain ways of doing things and you may actually end up doing things wrong. But if you're just practicing witchcraft, you're not practicing Hoodoo or Voodoo or Wicca or Santeria or whatever. You're just practicing witchcraft, right? The manipulation of energy in order to attain the things that we desire. That's what my entire channel is about, like motherfuckers, right? If you're just practicing that, then there is no right or wrong way to do it. There are no rules that say you can't curse somebody. There is no rule that says you need to use a candle every time you do a spell. There's no rule that says you have to burn incense every time you do a spell. There's no rule that says you need to use these specific tools. Those are rules that are imposed upon you by the capitalist society and social media as a whole, because you end up opening your Instagram to your favorite witchy Instagram and you see that they're beautiful altar and they're beautiful tools and they're beautiful this and they're beautiful that. It's all manipulating you into buying things and spending money that you may or may not have on things you probably don't need, especially if you're just starting out in witchcraft, right? I want to get into witchcraft, but everything I find doesn't feel real. I want something real that's been passed down a long time, but I feel like everything out there I try to look is for manufacturer. So you're not going to find that. I'm going to be really honest right now and tell you that if you want to find like an athame that another witch has used, you're not going to find it. Why? Because if it's passed down, it's probably still in the family, right? So, I mean, that's going to be really difficult to find at something like Value Village or whatever. Getting into witchcraft, there is this sense that there's a lot of things out there that feels fake, or it doesn't feel real, or it feels manufactured, or it feels copy-paste. And you see that in social media because when one person does something, okay, let's say that I make a video and I talk about how I did this really epic spell with Ashtaroth, right? And I upload that video and that video goes viral. Right? Then other witches, or as viral as shit can go in the witchy community, then other witches might try to do something similar. And so then we get this bandwagon effect, right? You get one witch who does it, then you get another witch, right? And it's not just witches, it's YouTubers, it's everybody in general, because when one person has success and there is a way to replicate it, other people will try to do that. So there is a sense when it comes to social media that witchcraft can be very fake or can be very manufactured. And the modern day shit is. It's the same person, or not the same person, but the same group of people doing the same videos over and over again. The 10 signs, the 10 crystals, the 10 herbs, the 10 this, the 10 that. Like, that's the manufactured bullshit. Then you've got to find channels like Tequila's, Ravenways, Amber Honey Ravens, mine, Lunar Wisdom, and other witches where they actually have substance to the content that they're bringing to YouTube. Right? So getting into witchcraft itself is, if you're looking for that more real, authentic experience, it's the real and authentic experience that you make for yourself, right? You can't have somebody else's experience. You can't have somebody else's energy. You can't have somebody else's success or failures in their craft. You can only have yours, because when it comes down to it, you're not manipulating the vast universe that everybody lives in. You're manipulating the universe that you, at this time, at this point in space, live in order to manifest the things that you want at a later date or now, right? So I would suggest that you start learning what the uses the various herbs and such have, that basic knowledge any witch should know. I don't know if there is a certain level of knowledge that any witch should have. I do agree that the learning of herbs is vital to witchcraft, because we do use a lot of herbs in our craft. But at the same time, as I've also mentioned, you don't have to use herbs at all in your craft. You can just sit there and manifest money tomorrow, right? Like, it's not that difficult. But if you are wanting to get into more of using herbs and dressing candles and making your own incense, then absolutely, I would suggest that you learn the basics of herbs. The same could be said of crystals, moon phases, different times of years for witches, if that's your thing. I don't really follow the witchy calendar, if you will, except for Samhain. Then there's, or is it Samhain? It's Samhain. Why did I say Samhain? It's Samhain. Motherfucker, get your shit together. Anyways, right, so, and then there's other things that you could learn about, like, I don't know, candle magic, or you could learn about psalms, or you could learn about whatever you want to learn about, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think there is an essential, you must know this to be a witch. I think there are essential, you must know this to do this particular aspect of witchcraft, if that's the thing that you want to get into. Because I think that there are a lot of witches out there who don't have any tools, candles, herbs, fancy altars, fancy this, fancy that, and they literally will just manifest shit while they're crocheting or knitting or watching TV or whatever, right? Okay, I have to go away now because it's been an hour and I'm bored. I love you. I do.